Hi everyone, it's Seb, and today's kind of a crazy day, or the past 2 days, because the tariff just got introduced, and I wanted to kind of talk about the tariffs for a bit and kind of give my opinion. And personally, I think tariffs are actually pretty good in the long term as an investment, but in the short term, it's destructive, especially with speculators. Like I made a video a couple days ago about like speculative trading and why that can be harmful according to the intelligent investor. And I just wanted to basically give my opinion, and that the, the tariffs are going to hurt the economy in the short term, but I think in the long term it's very beneficial because of the implications that and the incentives of the tariffs, because I think Trump's whole goal is to bring the manufacturing back into the country and basically charge the reciprocal tariffs because we've been in a trade deficit. I think with China, it's almost $1 trillion in trade deficit, which is wild. And if you go to back to basic economics, a trade deficit is horrible. That damages the value of your currency because you're basically importing more goods than you are exporting, and so more of the economy's money goes outside of the country, whereas the tariffs kind of incentivizes the companies who moved all their labor into other countries to bring those factories here and actually bring back some of the labor. And I think that's what Trump's goal is, but the problem is that speculative traders kind of ruin it in the short term, because if you think about it, when the tariffs come, you don't know what the price is going to be, and if you're speculating that the price is going to be higher, and so you're going to buy more of whatever futures for specific things. I mean, you can buy futures for almost any product. If you think about it, you could buy raw material futures for even wheat if you wanted to. And that is kind of the thing with speculation, especially when it comes to steel, because the US steel is actually outsourced from a lot of different countries. I think from Romania and China are the biggest steel exporters to the US. So we're bringing in more steel than we're manufacturing here. And the thing is that we have the resources to do it. It's just cheaper for the companies to outsource it to another country. And I think Trump's goal is to bring that back to America. But if you think about it politically, it might be a stupid idea in the short term because of the speculators, right? But if you think about it from a long term perspective, I think it's beneficial regardless of who's the president. I don't think this should be about politics. I think it should be about really the cost of living. It's going to slowly increase because of the tariffs, but actually over the long term, it's going to decrease. Because if you think about it, those factories are going to be brought back, increasing the industrialization. So now we need to, as a country, hire more workers for those factories. And that's actually going to incentivize some of the uh, companies to come back to the US and export more stuff out or sell it domestically, meaning we don't have to import the stuff, we can make it here. And that is actually going to benefit us because now we don't have to rely on other countries, and that brings the actual competition of the goods and services back into this country, which allows actually more competition. And if you look at economics and competition, you want competition in your country domestically. That's the best thing you could do, because now they all have to compete with each other to offer the best price. And so if you have the domestic supply increasing, you're also going to have the demand increase. But what's really good is that both of the things are actually increasing, and they're going to hit that equilibrium where now it's actually going to lower the price because there's more competition, right? And this is actually really beneficial in the long term. but in the short term, it's gonna suck really bad. It's especially with speculation, which I don't blame them for doing that. I mean, I don't think it should be about politics because this would have happened in the future anyways, because China's our biggest competitor, right? We're outsourcing all that stuff. So if we bring it here, that is actually very beneficial. But in the short term, we're gonna have to pay the consequences for not charging tariffs earlier, because when China joined the World Trade Organization, I think it was 20 years ago, right? That's when we started outsourcing our labor because now it's official, we can trade with China, right? And so from that point on, if we charged tariffs, we wouldn't actually have this problem of having to outsource our goods because we would make it here, right? Instead of China. And I think Trump's goal is to bring it here, like I said before, but I don't really want to make it too political. I think this would have happened regardless if you think about it from an economics perspective. And that's just my opinion, I think. And part of the reasoning that I got actually was from Milton Friedman and his economic policy. I think everyone who's interested more in economics should read up on Milton Friedman and The Intelligent Investor from Benjamin Graham, because that isn't just about investments but the actual value of currency and really economics. But Milton Friedman makes an even better case where he talks about how it should be more domestic stuff and we should be the exporters instead of other countries, because now we're in a trade surplus if we start making it here. And when we're in a trade surplus, that allows more of those profits to trickle down to the consumer, because now we could offer cheaper goods, right? Because now we're in that surplus. And so we want to actually give that money back to the consumers. And if you think about it, if the consumers have more money in their pockets, they could spend more. And I think that is exactly Milton Friedman's case, is to get more money in the consumer's hands, or just in the everyday American regardless, because that can actually balance with the cost of living, right? If it might actually go down because now we have more domestic competition. And that is just something I wanted to share with you, and thanks for listening.